Meghan Markle believed this was her moment to reshape public opinion. The second installment of With Love, Meghan positioned internally at Netflix as an extension of Season 1 was intended as a thoughtful continuation of her personal journey. The idea was simple: show growth, vulnerability, and authenticity. But instead of generating buzz and empathy, a preview screening quickly devolved into an unsettling and highly emotional incident that left Netflix scrambling to control the damage. At a private test event, the audience was invited to share candid feedback on the new episodes. Instead of polite applause or tempered notes, the feedback was harsh and direct. Many in the crowd described the show as flat, overly polished, and lacking emotional depth. Some went further, questioning Meghan's sincerity with remarks labeling her as calculating or performative. What made matters worse? These comments were made aloud in the room with Meghan seated front and center. What followed was a deeply vulnerable and unexpected reaction. Meghan, visibly shaken, broke down during the Q&A portion of the event. Struggling through tears, she addressed the crowd, attempting to clarify the message behind the show's themes of empowerment, emotional honesty, and social critique. She pleaded for understanding, urging viewers to look beyond the edit and into her intentions. But rather than reset the mood, it made the atmosphere even more tense. Production crew members, sensing the moment spiraling, attempted to discreetly guide her off stage. But Meghan returned abruptly, taking the mic again. Her second attempt to explain came across as even more emotional, bordering on desperate. She urged the crowd to reconsider their judgment. Some attendees appeared visibly sympathetic, but many were clearly uncomfortable. Several left before the event ended. Meanwhile, Netflix executives, watching remotely, among them co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, were reportedly stunned. By what unfolded, the event was never meant to be dramatic. It was, in Netflix's view, a simple feedback session. What they witnessed, however, signaled a PR problem far larger than anyone had expected. The situation immediately prompted internal reviews. All remaining screening events were canceled, with Netflix opting for low-profile audience testing without Meghan's participation. The idea of a follow-up Q&A was officially scrapped. Behind closed doors, frustration brewed. Sarandos, once seen as a key supporter of the project, was now described as visibly disappointed. One insider noted that Sarandos found the incident not just awkward, but damaging, especially for a project already on shaky ground. While Meghan's team attempted damage control, her direct connection to Netflix leadership seemed to be fading fast. Where once there had been open conversations and creative collaboration, now there were only mediated updates from her management. Despite efforts to redirect focus to the content, the incident became a tipping point. Meghan reportedly reached out to Netflix about the possibility of a third season, hoping to secure one more opportunity to stabilize the brand. But insiders say the momentum has stalled. The internal mood has shifted. The earlier goodwill she had earned is beginning to dissolve. Meanwhile, the cost of the show continues to climb. Extensive re-edits, reshoots, and additional marketing efforts are piling on expenses. The numbers haven't been kind either. While Netflix had previously tried to cast Season 1 as a win, internal analytics told another story: low engagement. Especially with younger viewers in international markets, the streaming giant had hoped the revised tone of Season 2 would correct the trajectory. But the emotional fallout at the preview signaled deeper issues. Hollywood, never slow to react, took notice quickly. Word of the incident spread beyond Netflix. Talent agencies and rival studios reportedly began distancing themselves. The concern wasn't just about brand image, it was about unpredictability. No studio wants to gamble on talent that might unravel in front of investors or audiences. Inside Netflix, the shift was palpable. Meghan, once treated as a premium partner, was now being handled cautiously. Emails that once carried friendly warmth were replaced by formal updates. Himself was said to have stepped back from direct communication entirely. All correspondence now flowed through PR handlers and managers. Despite heavy editing efforts, the audience feedback revealed a fundamental problem. Viewers weren't connecting with Meghan. The message, the tone, the staging, it all felt out of touch. Her emotional plea during the screening only deepened the divide. And by accusing the audience of betrayal and criticism, she seemed to confirm the very detachment the show had tried to avoid. Now, with the series' future uncertain and Meghan's public image once again under scrutiny, Netflix faces a difficult decision. For Meghan, what was intended to be a reset might now be remembered as the moment things truly began to fall apart. Meghan Markle's highly anticipated Netflix collaboration, once hailed as her triumphant return to Hollywood, is now in freefall. Following an emotional incident at a recent live event, Meghan's team rushed into crisis mode. They quietly contacted lifestyle outlets, podcast hosts, and influencers in a bid to reshape public perception. Yet the problem wasn't just optics. Inside the entertainment industry, the sentiment was turning against her. Several top-tier celebrities have begun distancing themselves. One prominent actress even declined a role in Meghan's next series, calling it a career risk. Despite this, Meghan clung to hope for a renewal. She leveraged past ties, reminding Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos of past joint ventures and mutual goals. But those connections didn't hold the sway they once did. The enthusiasm surrounding her brand had noticeably cooled. Netflix, once a firm believer in Meghan's vision, was shifting priorities. The new plan: quietly release the show, skip the usual promotion, and let it vanish among other content. Internally, staff no longer discussed the project with any urgency. Meghan's requests for continued support were being met with silence. A source close to the company summed it up: "We're just trying to cut our losses." Meghan was fully aware of the unraveling. Her concern, now extended beyond the show, was about staying relevant. Studio execs at places like Disney, Paramount, and even smaller production companies were reportedly removing her from casting shortlists. The risk of association had become too great. Within Netflix, her presence was being phased out. Her name stopped appearing in creative meetings. Planned promotions were scrapped. One insider described the strategy as damage control mode. The pivot wasn't just to avoid future issues, it was to forget the project had ever existed. The show's final test screenings were being held with minimal notice. There were no events, no panels, just muted surveys and internal assessments. Even Ted Sarandos, who had once championed the project, was now silent in leadership meetings. The shift was telling. Still, Meghan wasn't ready to surrender. Behind the scenes, she attempted to revive her brand. She pitched herself as a modern female figure silenced by outdated narratives, but her story wasn't resonating. Too many industry insiders knew the behind-the-scenes chaos. Support was evaporating. A small production firm known for taking controversial chances recently ghosted her pitch for a documentary. They didn't reject it outright, they simply never responded. Silence, it seems, had become the safest strategy. Financially, the show had become a burden. Netflix had already funneled millions into re-edits and PR. Licensing and spin-off opportunities were dead. With Meghan's reputation in decline, international deals were out of the question. The series had become a sunk cost. Unwilling to give up, Meghan explored going solo. She met with tech entrepreneurs, considered launching her own platform, and floated the idea of self-releasing content on YouTube or similar spaces. But all these plans ignored the root problem: public trust had eroded. Time, her most precious resource, was running out. Her relationship with Ted Sarandos, once publicly warm, had deteriorated. They hadn't spoken directly in weeks. All communications were filtered through attorneys. When Meghan's camp proposed a live redemption interview, Netflix immediately declined. The company wanted zero part in any future missteps. Industry analysts now study her downfall as a cautionary tale. Meghan had control, backing, and a massive platform, yet the entire effort crumbled. Some insiders still think the series might gather a niche following once released. But the damage to her brand is done. In an industry driven by image and perception, Meghan is no longer seen as a compelling star. The spotlight, once hers to command, has grown cold and distant. The opportunities she once held are closing one by one, and they may not reopen anytime soon.